Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say. Corruption in Nigeria has a long and intricate history shaped by various factors, including colonialism, military rule, economic instability, and cultural dynamics. This complex narrative spans multiple decades, with corruption evolving from petty bribery to large-scale embezzlement and systemic graft. It's another beautiful episode on your favorite primetime show, Ways. My name remains Osayiwa Mesale, and today we're discussing the evolution of corruption in Nigeria. Now remember, Ways is all about you. You are the why in Ways. So be a part of the conversation every single day. You can add your voice by heading onto our YouTube channels at Official Upgrade TV, hit the subscribe button, like, share, and comment, and invite families and friends to join the show right now. When I open the phone lines, I'll really love to hear your thoughts on this, As always, let me allow you ponder on my quote for the day. It says, corruption, immorality, and indiscipline have reached their peak in Nigeria, and this was from Alhaji Maitama Sule. We'll delve into the subject of corruption, the evolution of corruption in Nigeria. I mean, I took my time to do small history, since I'm alone on Tuesday. So yeah, let's have fun together discussing this. We'll delve into this. But first, let me run off on a break. When I come back from that break, I'll let you in on my news interest for the day. Stay with me. All right, thanks for staying tuned. So I'm going to start off with this very interesting story. So, in fact, when I saw it, I thought maybe this was like a like fake news or something. Apparently, there was massive power outage that grounded the trains and, of course, internet in Spain, Portugal, and France. Right. So, according to the report, major power outage across large areas of Spain, Portugal, and parts of southern France on Monday caused widespread disruption, knocking out traffic lights, halting public transportation, and affecting airport operation. So according to Al Jazeera, officials have yet to confirm the cause of the outages, though several have ruled out foul play. Grid operation in both countries, Spain and Portugal, are working on finding the cause and on restoring the electricity supply. The president of the European Council, Antonio Costa, posted on X, he said he served as Portugal Prime Minister from 2015 to 2014. He emphasized that at this point there are no indications of any cyber attack. and efforts to fully restore electricity and investigate the cause of the historic blackout are still ongoing as of yesterday evening, so Monday evening. So it was so interesting when I saw this story. First of all, I first of all said, is this like fake news? But I didn't realize that it was the real deal. But you see, in other parts of the world, when there's a power outage, it makes news. But we've normalized power outage in this part of the world. So it just made me smile that, okay, gosh, it was so interesting how it was a big deal. Like, power outage was a big deal. But truly, it should be a big deal because if you go to Europe, if you go to other parts of the world, a lot of their activity is centered around power, like the rails, different things. Like if you want to go to restaurants, if you want to go anywhere, like it is highly, highly dependent on power. And a lot of rumors, right, have been flying around how the kind of war that the world will experience the next time in the future would be cyber wars, attacks and all of that. But thankfully, they say that this is not it, So yeah, we're moving on. So I'll move on to Ekiti State, right? According to the report, Ekiti disburses 155 million naira to property owners affected by road projects. So the Ekiti State Governor, Biodun Oyebanji, on Monday had distributed checks totaling 155.4 million as compensation to those whose property were acquired for the construction of the Ikere-Akure dualization project. Oyebanji said that the money covers the formal acquisition of the land, valuation, and payments of unexhausted improvements on the affected property. He then added that the transparent and fair disbursement of the funds was his administration's priority, affirming due process was followed. Oyebanji, represented by the Deputy Governor, Mrs. Munishade Afuye, spoke at the Ikere Ekiti while flagging off the disbursement of compensation to the affected owners. He assured the citizens that embarking on projects that would add value and create vistas of economic activities and business development would continue to dominate the priority list of his administration. The governor said that the road was conceptualized to bolster business activity and enhance the interstate transportation system. He says this project is not just an infrastructural intervention. It is a crucial lifeline that will strengthen social-economic ties between Ekiti and Ondo State and enhance the general well-being of our people. I think this is a good move. Of course, I've heard several quarters, insulting the governor, accusing him of not doing anything, and all of that. So maybe this might just be, what he's also been planning and, planning to execute. I like the fact that he's talking about transparency. I'm wishing that we can get to hear from the people of Ekiti and the people that have been compensated, and if everyone truly, have been treated fairly. That would be nice. So let's not just assume. So let's hear from the people that have been compensated. So I'll move on to 2027. It's so interesting how we just finished an election in 2023. We're in 2025, right? We've not really experienced governance as it should be, but yeah, here we are in Nigeria. We're already talking 2027 election. So Pro-Tinubu Youth Group promises President 5 million votes. It's all right. It's okay. I like this. Sugar assured all the movement would deliver at least 5 million youth votes for Tinubu from the huge voting population. He urged participants to embark on aggressive enlightenment campaigns to educate young Nigerians about Tinubu's agenda. This group will surprise the president with a massive turnout of youth votes, Sugar declared. The Director General noted that Tinubu had achieved much in areas of economy, agriculture, energy, youth inclusiveness, and empowerment. So this group have said, Dadiwa, we assure you of 2027, we're giving you 5 million votes. Okay. And the youth that I know, it's okay. I will not say more than that. I'll move on to Okpeholo. He orders crackdown on cult activities. That is from Edo State. The governor of Edo State, Senator Monday Okpeholo, on Tuesday ordered a crackdown on cult-related violence and killings in the state. About 5 people were reportedly killed between Friday and Sunday in the state capital over renewed clashes between rival court groups. In a statement on Tuesday by the governor's special advisor, media and publicity, Buje Okwemo, Okpeholo noted that there will be no sacred cow in the crackdown. The statement read that the Edo State government is deeply concerned about the resurgence of cult-related violence in some parts of the state. It is important to recall that following earlier disturbances last year, Governor Okpeholo, among several proactive steps taken, convened personally and through his agent a series of critical meetings with the known leaders of groups suspected to be involved in these criminal activities. At those meetings, firm agreements were reached. They were to rein in their members and take full responsibility for their conduct. The governor made it abundantly clear that the state would no longer tolerate the senseless killings of our youth and the destabilization of our communities. The statement noted that it is regrettable that recent developments indicate that some individuals and groups have chosen to defy that understanding. Governor Okpeholo has directed security agencies to move in decisively. Those who have tested the will of the state will face the full weight of the Edo State anti-cultism and kidnapping law. There will be no sacred cows. It says the administration remains unshaken in its commitment to rid Edo State of cultism, criminality, and all threats to peace and order. We urge all law-abiding residents to remain calm and continue their daily activities. The security agencies are fully mobilized and working around the clock to restore and maintain peace. Okay, so these are very strong affirmations, would I call them. I'm hoping that they'll be able to solve cultism in, would I even just say the entire, old Bendel has been a very strong thing. It's not a today thing. And most times, some of these things rear their ugly heads. We're hoping that he'll be able to solve the problem. But you see, I still kind of have a bit of reservations when you say you know the known leaders of these groups. So it means that you know them. It means that they are above the law, because you're asking them to go and they tell the people to behave. I mean, they should rein in on their people. So it just begs the question: if you know them, you know they are affiliated to these cult groups, why are they not arrested? We are not asking for too much. I'll take a break. When I come back from that break, let's discuss our corruption matter and how Nigeria's corruption has evolved, right, over the years. Stay with me, we'll be right back.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
1999 to 2003. 1999 to 2002, 2003. Those days, EFCC, where the EFCC, they catch people, say there's still thousands. We go shout, thousands. This is too much. They won't kill us, they won't buy us. By the time we enter 2003, they steal millions. Say the EFCC they allege. Say, oh, this person, the poultry project, na millions they carry. This person, this job, na millions. So we can say, they steal millions. Oh, Egba, wow. By the time we enter 2007, na billions with the hair. Say, hey, Oji Uzokalu allegedly took 6.9 billion. This one took 6 point something billion. Now, fear, they catch us. Say, billions. By the time we enter 2024 now trillions, then they allege. Now trillions, they said, then they steal. Now trillions. How we move from thousands to millions to billions now trillion. Then they allege them, say they steal like Okorowa now. The ESCC allege, say the man don't carry 1.3 trillion. We don't move, go trillion. Gradually now we go enter zillion. Now zillion, then go they steal, then go they chop. Nobody, no judgment, nobody they go jail. It's so easy. You still come out, bribe the judge, do this, waste time. After a while, they throw the matter under the carpet. It's getting worse. After this trillion, now city then go they steal. Now city, a whole community, now in them go they carry. Because the way we progress from 1999, from stealing thousands, to stealing millions in 2003, to stealing billions in 2007. Now, trillion. Now in them they allegedly say they steal. As we they go in the next 3, 4, 5 years, you go they hear zillion. Or this person don't carry the whole city. And if you and I don't do nothing about it, we allow the judiciary to be messed up, very soon then go carry the whole country. You don't go get country and go say your state is stolen, it's gone. They've stole this state, they've stole that state before they can finally carry the country. As we they look, as we they see something, say something, we solve the problem together.
Absolutely. See something, say something, solve the problem. Because if not, in a stolen state, we go they see. It's a very, very instructive video, and I thought to use that as an anchor for our conversation for today. So Nigeria's corruption has evolved from colonial exploitation to systemic looting, surviving regime changes due to weak institutions, impunity, and a culture of patronage. Despite anti-graft agencies, progress remains very slow, with corruption deeply embedded in politics and business. Corruption in Nigeria has evolved through distinct phases, shaped by its political and economic history. And if you want to go by that, here is a summarized overview. So I have 3 phases that we have done. The pre-independent, right? So that's before 1960. Colonial loot. So these were British colonial administrators that exploited Nigeria's resources, setting a precedent, right, for systemic corruption. The legacy of colonial rule contributed to the emergence of corruption in Nigeria. The colonial administration's focus on resource extraction and exploitation, and that created an environment that was very conducive, right, for corrupt practices. Same under that pre-colonial era, right, the pre-1960, local complicity. Some traditional rulers and elites collaborated with these colonial masters for personal gain, entrenching corrupt practices. So that was where you saw our people sold us out, for slavery. So corruption has, a long history. Corruption we didn't wake up and overnight Nigeria became corrupt. Corruption was a continuous, step-by-step build-up that eventually has landed us to where we are today. See what Isaac Fayose said about how, and you know, one day I sat down and I was thinking, how did we get to the point where we are mentioning billions and trillions like as if it is just like 100K? Because that's what is happening. When people were stealing before, they were just stealing in their thousands. It then moved to millions. It then moved to billions. Now it is in trillions. And like he rightly put it, if we do not pay attention, right, it is going to move to trillions to the point where people will be stealing a whole city. So it's no longer going to even be that you have stolen money. It is that you wake up in the morning and somebody has bought your entire hometown to say, this is now my property. That is where we're going. So if we now move to post-independence, so between 1960 to 1979, after gaining independence in 1960, Nigeria's young democracy, of course, faced significant challenges, including corruption, ethnic tensions, and regional rivalries. So 1960 to 1966, corruption grew among politicians and civil servants, with embezzlement and contract fraud becoming common. That was when it started. So you see, the matter, no be today. That was when it started. Military coups happened between 1966 to 1979, when Nigeria experienced a series of military coups which disrupted democratic governance and created opportunities for corruption to flourish. Corruption worsened under military rule, with leaders like General Yakub Gowon accused of looting public funds. Each military regime had its unique characteristics of corruption, from embezzlement to human rights abuses. Like, the list is endless. Till today, you are still hearing Abacha loot, Abacha loot, Abacha loot. Even the ones that are still here with us, if we really check deep, we would see that there is a lot going on. It's just that some of the cases were left untouched. So corruption is not a today thing, right? So when we then move to the season where we had the oil boom and the industrialized corruption era, that is between 1970s to 1990s, right? The discovery of oil in the 1950s and the subsequent oil boom that happened in the 1970s created fresh opportunities again for corruption, as government officials, politicians sought to control the lucrative oil industry that they still control till date. Nigeria's economic instability, including inflation, currency fluctuation, and debt crisis, contributed to corruption, as individuals and groups sought to accumulate wealth and secure their financial future. Are we not still experiencing it today, where you will see people being gifted oil blocks, a resource that belongs to the people? Because you're friends with a particular government, that is your payment, that is compensation for being friends with a particular government. So our collective resource is then handed to individuals because they are trying to what? Secure their financial future. The 1970 oil boom fueled a large scale of theft by officials. Look at the documentary that came out around how vessels, our crude is stolen in vessels. Come on. If that does not wake us up as Nigerians, I don't know what else would wake us. An example will be the Udoji Awards. Like, you know, that particular one, they said it was a wage increase that was exploited for graft. There are so many corrupt practices that have happened in the oil sector that we can't even start to quantify. General Ibrahim Babangida, between 1985, the year I was born, and 1993, corruption became systemic in his regime. This same Babangida. And it was notorious for embezzlement. So that's where we had the Gulf War oil windfall disappearance. That window, that period, 1985 to 1993. I'd mentioned Sani Abacha before. Between 1993 to 1998, the loot that was estimated, right, for General Sani Abacha, as at then, not even now, was $3 to $5 billion. that was stashed in foreign banks. That's why till tomorrow, we still hear Abacha loot, Abacha loot, Abacha loot. We then returned to democracy, right? President Olusegun Obasanjo, 1999 to 2007. He then established this anti-graft agency, the EFCC and ICPC. But of course, if you recall, right, it was during Obasanjo's era that a lot of critics came out to accuse Obasanjo of selective prosecution. Not be today this thing starts. You know, I was saying something to someone, and I said it, that you see this thing that happened with Rivers State, state of emergency, and then suspension of governor, his deputy, and the House of Assembly. You know, what these politicians will do, and I'm not mentioning names, is that they will tell you that, okay, I have the judiciary with me, I have the legislative arm of government with me. Then if you choose to still be stubborn and you don't fall in line with what I want you to do, I have EFCC and I have ICPC. Because have you ever seen EFCC or ICPC prosecuting anybody that is within the political, the current political dispensation? A lot of corrupt politicians, they decamped to APC, right? Because they had a lot of cases. And immediately they decamped, EFCC's case automatically disappeared. There are rumors around former governor of Delta State, Okowa, of 1.3 trillion, right, embezzled. And now, see what has happened. He's decamped to APC. Of course, there would not be any form of, any form of prosecution. Because they will not prosecute their own, right? So it was during Obasanjo's tenure that we started seeing selective prosecution. EFCC was not an anti-corruption agency to just fight corruption, plain and simple. No. EFCC fought corruption that were against any person that was against, the ruling party. It is not a today thing. And guess what? You see what happened with EFCC and ICPC, right? It then also gave room for a lot of things to happen. Because all I needed to do as a politician, just steal enough money, and once it's time, move to the ruling party, and I'll be fine, I'll be covered. Because that's what we've seen over and over again. I'm not here to name names, but that has been the practice. And EFCC was supposed to be an independent body that could just sit down and fish out corruption. So President Umar Yar'Adua, 2007 to 2010, you know, he had very weak anti-graft efforts due to, of course, God rest his soul, his health issues. So we didn't really see much of this, fight against corruption during his regime. Then we then moved to President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, 2010 to 2015. That was when corruption peaked. And in fact, that was the narrative that landed President Buhari to office. Because the narrative was that Buhari was coming to fight corruption. Because it was at President Jonathan's era that we had the $20 billion NNPC scandal under the then Desiani Alison Madueke. And that was what literally buried President Jonathan's second term. It buried it because we were not having it. We were tired. Nigerians were not having it. But in hindsight now, if we look back, had we known that there was a playbook, the reason we're having this conversation now is that what are the politicians not saying that we are not observing? Because it's one thing for them to say something. We need to be extra vigilant to observe. Because that story that was sold to us, well-packaged story. I remember my parents warning us. You know, they warned me for 1985. What I know? This Buhari that you people are bringing, this Buhari. Me, I said, no, he's coming to fight corruption. He's coming to fight corruption. We went under the rain, in the sun. We were voting. We made sure that we stood there, our votes counted. Thank God, President Jonathan is a man of peace. Because if he were not a man of peace, like the kind of leaders that we have today, I don't know what would have happened in our 2025 elections. 2015 elections, sorry. So, but it was at the height of, It was at President Jonathan's regime that we saw corruption peak in this country. So $20 billion, boom, one sweep. So when President Buhari then came in 2015 to 2023, he promised anti-corruption reforms, right? That was his mantra. I will fight corruption. And immediately we heard that, we just jumped. We didn't even want to care. All of us entered the matter, and we all fell under that, what's it called? Under that scam. Because Nigerian Defense Fund fraud under his own watch, it tripled. Under President Buhari's watch, what's it called? Insecurities quadrupled. Corruption quadrupled. Like all the things that he said he was going to fight, everything worsened under President Buhari's administration. Now, today we have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And of course, there are still accusations and allegations of past corruption that is still lingering and hovering around his personality, around how Lagos State funds were mismanaged under his watch, and how he still has his fist, in Lagos State funds. While, of course, we have current policies like subsidy removal and all of that he's done, right, there are still issues around transparency. There are still concerns around how transparent is this government, because it seemed when the subsidy was removed, there was a subtle reintroduction of the subsidy. It's just a lot of back and forth. If not for Dangote coming out to shout and to fight and to talk about this, we also saw how, what's it called? It seemed like our crude had been sold, like they sold years of our crude ahead of time, right? Because they were not willing to continue the Naira for crude with Dangote. But thankfully, it had been reversed. But under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, corruption is still lingering very strongly. Because if not, what is going on around corrupt politicians, the campaign, and all of a sudden they find immunity and EFCC does not go after them anymore. So Nigeria's cultural dynamics, right, including patronage and clientelism, right, have contributed to corruption as individuals and groups seek to secure benefits and favors from those in power. That is all we see. So social norms will be, and values in Nigeria often prioritize personal relationship. Nami, no precedent. If you see how we voted in 2023, we voted because of the personal gains that we would get if whoever that we were voting became either governors, president, or whatever. So social norms and values in Nigeria often prioritize personal relationship and loyalty over transparency, accountability, and these are the things that can perpetuate corrupt practices, right? Corruption in Nigeria has become deeply ingrained, with systemic corruption affecting various aspects of our society. So it's not even a thing of now, it is embedded in the system. So even if and that is why a lot of people argue that a Peter Obi, right, cannot solve the corruption problem in Nigeria. Because corruption is an institution on its own in this country right now, right? And if we must, fight corruption, structures have to be in place that is beyond one individual. So it is not because Uwa is president, that is why corruption ends. No. Whether Uwa is there, she's not there. The system would repel corruption. That is the kind of system that we need to build, right? So corruption in Nigeria has become deeply ingrained, with systemic corruption affecting various aspects of our society, including our government, businesses, education, everywhere, healthcare, everywhere. Corruption is just everywhere. So despite efforts to combat corruption, including the establishment of, like I said before, the anti-agencies, the anti-corruption agencies like EFCC and ICPC, laws and the judiciary and all of these institutions that have been established to fight against corruption, corruption still remains a very significant challenge in Nigeria. It seems like it is an unsurmountable problem. It seems like it is something that cannot be curbed in this country. So I don't know how we're going to move past this, because if you check the evolution of corruption, right, it started years ago. So in my opinion, if we were to fight corruption, there has to be a system that would have also maybe It should have begun a long time ago. An anti-corruption system that will keep on fine-tuning and fine-tuning. So it then catches up with the corrupt system, and, you know, the stronger institution then, overcomes the weaker one. But as it stands now, we do not have strong institutions that can fight corruption. And that is where we are right now, you know, as regards corruption in Nigeria. Let's go on a short break. I don't know how I'm going to even attempt to find a solution to this, but we'll share more insights. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we will bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Thank you for staying tuned. Now, I hear my Plus TV people are back, so welcome. Even though we've been on since on YouTube and other places. Now, if you just tuned in, we're discussing the evolution of corruption in Nigeria. Please let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp. You can also send us an add me on WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. Our phone lines are also now open. The numbers to call are 070-2500-7749 or 070-1424-2420. Let's hear what you have to say. So, I don't know how we are going to solve this problem of corruption in Nigeria, but here are some key trends that we must pay attention to, right? Because where we are right now, we moved from petty to ground corruption. It was a shift from very little bribes, you know, these small bribes. You know, even on the roads today, from 2020 naira now, I hear that it is madness what some police officers do they literally drive you to an ATM, you know, and empty your account, right? So the shift was from small bribes to large-scale theft, especially if you even check within the oil sector. That one is even major there. Then if we look at the military rule versus the civilian rule, the military regime centralized corruption, right? Democracy, on the other hand, decentralized it, but did not eliminate it, right? So in military rule, it was a centralized corruption that we were seeing. Now, it's decentralized, though, but it is still very much prevalent. So it's just that there are more corrupt people right now in democracy that we're seeing. Anti-corruption efforts, you know, often politicized weak convictions. So if you look at, if you go to check the history of EFCC cases, right, convictions that have happened is only 0.3%. With all the noise that we are hearing about corruption in this country, only 0.3%. Didn't Governor Yahaya Bello, the former governor of Kogi State, were there no allegations of how he transferred money to a particular school that they had to return the money and all of that in advance, paid money in advance for all his, you know, children's school fees in hard currency? Whatever happened to that case? So you see that within EFCC, right, only 0.3% cases have resulted into convictions. For a country that we are screaming that one of our biggest challenge is corruption. We've seen the rise of scams in Nigeria. Money laundering is huge in this country, very huge. A lot of people laundering money for corrupt politicians, moving money. I mean, one of the ladies that I heard that they've asked her to appear in court, the lady that was accused of money laundering, Aisha, I think, Achemologo or something, how do I pronounce her surname, right? You know, EFCC declared her wanted. So I'm hearing that she needs to appear before a court and all of that. What is happening to all these cases? Like, literally, there is no day you go on EFCC's page that you don't see so many things around corruption. But where are the convictions? Today, we saw that the EFCC arrested E-Money. They say for spraying, what did they call them? Spraying dollar. Like misplaced. Is it Naira mutilation? But it was dollar the guy was spraying now. So I don't even know what is going on. So it seems like EFCC is just like, okay, you know what? We've been quiet for a bit. Let's wake up, let's quickly go and do something. Let it not look like we're not working. That's what is going on. Because in the real sense of it, there are so many cases that have been like made public. Was it not a particular governor, Ganjuje, that put money inside his car? Whatever happened to him? Like, should we start to mention all these cases? Should we start to mention them? There are numerous cases, yet 0.3% conviction. So tell me how we're ready to fight this thing. I don't even know how we're going to fight this. But you know what? Let me attempt to recommend how corruption can be addressed in Nigeria. I've said it in passing, I'll say it again. Strengthen institutions, right? For us to be able to fight corruption, we must enhance the capacity and the independence of some of these our agencies. So EFCC is not for the president in power. No. EFCC should be an independent body that fights any corrupt politician or any corrupt person in Nigeria. The judiciary should not be another arm of the government. The executive, no. The judiciary should be there to ensure that things are done appropriately and rule of law is obeyed. And cases are screened and scrutinized and facts are brought out and convictions are made. That is what the judiciary is meant to do. Hey, our almighty legislative body, we have shouted, we will continue to shout. We won't stop shouting. Akpabio, you are the speaker. Abi? You are the Senate president, rather. You are the Senate president. Your job as the Senate president is to be a check to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, not to be his stooge, not to be the person that will just say yes, sir to him. No. And that is why there has been loads of allegation of the legislative arm of government being a rubber stamp. We can't keep doing this and expect anything different. These three bodies, our anti-corruption agencies, right, ICPC, EFCC, our judiciary, our legislative arm, if they are not strengthened and if they do not remain independent, then we are going nowhere when it comes to ending corruption in Nigeria. Second recommendation would be we have to start to really promote transparency. We must implement transparent policies, procedures, and practices in government and businesses. Let's stop this corner. If there is things around even bills being passed, things around contracts being awarded, the process should be made public so people can actually scrutinize it and see that due processes were followed. We can't keep going on and expecting us to have a different result. That is the definition of insanity. We've done this over and over again, and we're expecting things to change. It does not change by a miracle. There are some things that we must insist on. There are some things that we must demand.